Hello and welcome to episode 1134 of The Sleeper and the Bust. It is Monday, January 30th. I'm your host, Paul Sporer, joined this afternoon by Justin Mason. Justin, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. How you doing?
It's freezing.
Oh, is it?
Literally, it's 30 degrees.
Oh, that sucks. It is. It's like 55 here. It's like kind of perfect. Like I really
I'm
can't
very
complain.
displeased right now. It's probably going to ice over, and we'll see if our stupid electrical grid here in Texas can even hold it, etc., etc. But I am excited to talk to you. So that does help. I appreciate you being you, because I'm excited to talk more outfielders, and we're going to get through a bunch of guys here, quick hitters, not as many, back and forths that we're going to have. We might, there might be a guy or two that we really deep dive on, but a lot of these should be a lot quicker. These are guys that are very uncertain. You'll notice a through line of health for a lot of these guys. Is this guy going to stay healthy? Is this guy going to stay healthy? I know you don't know that for sure. What I'm asking more, I guess, is if they stay healthy, what do you really think they can do? So we actually got a list A to Z, 26. It's more than 26 players, but 26 little queries here. So let's just start at the top with a guy that I can't quit. So I'm going to say yes to the question before I even ask it. But I will ask you, because you might have a more sobering take on it. Any hope left for Trent Grisham to be a fantasy impact, say 12 team type of guy, not just like a deep league play, but like an actual impact guy that mid and shallow leaguers are using Trent Grisham?
I mean, sure, there's hope.
How much, I guess?
I mean, not a ton, I guess. I mean, anytime a guy who's got stolen base upside like Trent Grisham does, you can't like be out on him completely, right? But at some point, you really get discouraged by kind of the contact skills and the platoon issues, and now with
the sub 200 batting average.
Yeah, and him being on a mega team means like he's not going to ever hit at the top. Like that just isn't going to happen at this point. Like if he even becomes,
if he came back, I think he could, because right now we have Ha-Seong Kim penciled in, who I love too.
Yeah, but that'll change once Tatis
comes back. Yeah.
So I mean, it's really, really hard for me to see like a path where he like turns back into the guy we thought he was gonna be early on, like when he went 10-10 in the 59 games in the shortened season. You start projecting that out, and you're going, oh man, he's like a potential 25-25, or maybe even like 25-30 kind of guy. I just have a really hard time seeing that happen. But it's still in there. Like I do think it's still in there. Especially the speed portion of things. But I don't know that I'm going to pull the trigger very often on him this year.
I think it's cheap enough to, by the way, I will say we're at 80, outfielders 81 and beyond amongst outfielders. So we are getting late here with the ADPs. Grisham's ADP is, where is that? Pardon me, 347. So, we're call it 350 and later here. These guys are definitely getting cheaper. And that's why I'm still buying on Grisham, but I don't really want to get him everywhere. And it is a deep league situation right now. It's draft champions where it is easier to take a gamble on somebody. He hit 184 last year. That's so bad. Wasn't even worth the 17 homers and 7 steals. I know Dustin McComas was in our league. He cut him. I picked him up thinking, hey, there's talent there. Let me try to get some upside. It didn't really come to fruition. I think I got more homers and steals than Dustin got, but with that paltry average. So I totally get it with Trent Grisham. If you invest, just don't overinvest, because there's not a whole lot of reason to think that he's really going to turn it around. He might just be incrementally better because last year was so bad. How many plate appearances this year for Oscar Colas in Chicago? An intriguing prospect on a team that doesn't have too many, but Colas is certainly interesting to me. What do you think he can do this year with the White Sox?
I said 450.
That's nice.
That was also with the idea that Eloy is not going to play the outfield.
Oh my God.
It sounds more and more like Eloy is going to attempt to try to play the outfield.
Please don't.
Yeah, I think it's a really bad idea for them, but clearly they're going to give him an opportunity. Those 450 plate appearances get you, I think, high teens home runs, a couple stolen bases. Like, I don't think he's a huge difference maker necessarily, but I do think that he could volume his way to being useful and go through some hot streaks. The problem is he just strikes out so darn much. He struck out
with no patience.
Yeah, like I guess it was only a 33 game sample or 33 plate appearance sample in the minors, but like he's projected pretty well to like go like 25, 26% strikeout rate. There is power in that bat. I just wonder how much he'll be able to unlock considering the contact skills.
Especially right away for Colas, right? Oscar Colas in Chicago. It's a good park, though. And so, there is a world where he can hit 20 this year and kind of be a standout. That is not the high-end projection, I would say. But if he can get to that 450 or beyond, there could be some impact there. If they're playing him that much, you would think that things are going relatively well. He did have a great 3-level season last year, although only 7 of the games were spent at AAA, as you mentioned. But AA and high A were pretty good at age 23, though, too. So he was kind of over the level there, or, a little bit too good for those levels. Dominated them, though, in his first tour stateside. So keep tabs on Oscar Colas. If he breaks camp, there could certainly be something there as far as a volume play. I agree with you there. Do you have a spare wrist for Alex Kirilloff?
I do not, and I don't think I own him. Yeah, I got a lot of heat for my ranking of him in my outfield ranks. I'll defend it by saying he doesn't have a spare wrist either, and also that like the difference between outfielder 149 where I have him ranked and like outfielder like 100 is like nothing. Like, I mean, they're all negative players.
You do have Oscar Colas as 100, by the way, so that's quite fitting that you said 100. And then, Kirilloff is 149. He has his contingent, his fan base. So I'm not surprised that you got eaten up a bit for having him that low, because that is low for Alex Kirilloff. But I get it, man. Like, it's really hard to have confidence in him right now. Particularly on a playing time standpoint, let alone a performance. I just don't know where the power is going to be, even if he is playing. So I too am nervous about him. I share the concerns. I don't think I have him quite that low, but man,
I think the hard part is like, what do we project in terms of his plate appearances?
Mm-hmm.
Like, is he actually going to play every day and stay healthy at the same time? Like, I projected him for half a season. I projected him 315 plate appearances. That's 11 home runs. That's a 251 batting average. That doesn't move the needle in fantasy.
It's pretty tough. I mean, he could be the everyday first baseman. We do have 2 more Minnesota guys here that we're going to talk about next, so we'll bring them in. Are you buying the what did I put here? 593,245th year of Max Kepler average hype? For years, it was his BABIP can't be that low because he's such a good hitter. By the way, I don't say this throwing stones. I was part of this contingent for at least a few of the years because he has great plate skills, 18% strikeout, 10% walk rate. That's a really strong plate profile. But he has a 248 career BABIP, and we always thought, well, he can improve that. More hits can fall in, and then he can be good. Well, kind of gets eaten up by the shift. He has a decent fly ball, decently high fly ball rate, which is not conducive to batting average. And so that's why he's continued to underperform. Well, now you throw in the shift alterations and people are right back on the train with with Max Kepler. And I don't know if I'm there again this year. He's priced to buy, being 350 or later, but I don't know. What do you think? Max Kepler batting average hype at all?
I mean, I wouldn't say batting average hype. Like, I projected him at 248. I guess that is some batting average hype, but
I mean, that's usually where people go with him as far as his upside, though. We know the power's there. He can throw some chip in steals as well. He had a 10 one year. He has a couple 6s. But if he's going to have a breakout, I think it's usually coming with people are hoping that it comes with some batting average.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see him hitting like 260 or 270 or anything like that. But
I certainly couldn't project it.
And I think there's I think that he honestly needs a trade to a different park, different team, different opportunity. He might get it. There has been rumors, but at this point, he looks like he's going to be on the Twins, considering they've traded other guys away and not him. So I've always been a Kepler guy. I continue to be a Kepler guy. I'm definitely ahead of the ADP in terms of where I have him ranked, but at the same time, not a guy I'm going to overinvest in. There are other guys who are going around him or above him or below him in ADP that I just like more, and then I tend to lean towards. So I'm not out on my boy, but he's not like my number one boy anymore.
It's hard to be on the Kepler train these days. So I too have kind of veered off. I might end up with a share here and there just because he's cheap, and you start picking up different outfielders there and kind of diversify your late outfielder portfolio. Speaking of the shift, is it allowing you to fool yourself into some Joey Gallo shares, thinking that he could also rebound with his batting average? The answer is no. Let's move on. Anyway,
Yeah.
no, I'm just kidding. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, the answer is no.
I know.
Absolutely not. Like, I'm sorry. Like, yeah, maybe he sucks against the shift, but like he still sucks against the not shift. Like, the shift isn't the biggest issue for Joey Gallo. The biggest issue is the swing and miss. Like,
Absolutely. It's
a
absurd.
73% zone contact is so far below league average. I want to say it might actually be the worst in baseball. So like,
it's a nightmare for Gallo.
Or I think Luke Voigt was worse than him last year. But other than that,
he didn't even have jobs. So
yeah, like other than that, like Gallo probably shouldn't have got a job at this point.
He can play some defense though. Still,
yeah, I think the defense is the thing that keeps him around the league. But yeah, no, like
solid base runner too.
Maybe
he can just do.
Maybe he improves because there is a lesser shift this year. But we're talking about a guy like improving from like a 170 batting average to like a 205
it was
batting average. Yeah.
And
so
that would be his first time above 200 since 2019.
Yeah.
So, that would be something. I'm not even sure I can get him there. I got him projected for sub 200 right now. And that's just where I'm at with Joey Gallo. It's one of these guys where I have that disconnect where I root for him. I really like him in real life and everything. But when it comes to fantasy, I can't do it.
I have him 190.
There we go. See, we're not even getting him over 200 with our batting average projections. Are you staying on the Edward Olivares hype train? The Michael A. Taylor, I kind of hinted at this during the last episode when we were talking about, Buxton getting the protection of Michael A. Taylor by moving to the Twins there. It does clear a better path for our guy. And we'll talk about the other guys too, so you don't have to bring them up yet. The other outfielders there that have some intrigue. But is it Edward Olivares time?
Yes and no. Like, I mean, I think he is definitely a guy I'm in on, but like I got the question today, like who would I rather? Who is the next Cedric Mullins, right? In
Edward Olivares.
Today. And they gave me the options of Edward Olivares and TJ Friedl. We'll get to Friedl here in a minute.
I'll let you do your Friedl thing.
While Olivares will be in the article that I promise I will write this year, Friedl's the guy. Like, and I mean, I really like Olivares. But we have never seen anything close to what he did in those couple minor league seasons that give us like the hope that there is massive power or massive speed in the profile.
There's never got a chance.
I mean, but he hasn't done in the minors either. Like, it's not like he's, like look at his minors work last year too. Like, it wasn't super great either.
Nah, it was 21 games. It wasn't good, but it was 21 games. I mean, he only played 74 total games between AAA and MLB. So there is not a lot to go off. I mean, I don't dispute that with regards to Edward Olivares, but he did, he had back-to-back quality years pretty much all of his minor years until last year. 15-12 in 66 games in 2021 in AAA. The 18-35 was at El Paso in 127 games in 2019. Another double back in 2018, 2017. We don't want to go too far back there. But he's been good in the high minors. Last year wasn't particularly strong. 1 homer, 2 steals in 21 games. But it's 21 games. It's a 97 WRC plus still. Like he was just blah for 3 weeks in AAA. 53 games in the majors. Kind of blah as well. 4 homers, 2 steals, but only 2 steals on 5 attempts. He got caught 3 times. 110 WRC plus though. I don't know. I know there wasn't a lot of great numbers last year. Though. I'm in. I'm totally in on Edward Olivares still.
I mean, I just looked at my projection and then looked at his ADP, and I realized I'm like 30 spots ahead of ADP.
There
so clearly I'm in on him too. And
there we go.
This has been our boy for a while, and
it's time.
It feels finally like it is time. I'm probably gonna have a lot of it.
If he flops this year, obviously, we can move off. He's 27. He's 27. Move your ranking up. Move your projections up 25% more. Do it right now.
Only problem is he does still have an option left.
I know, but I swear to God, if
you would think that
if they don't play him on this team, then they clearly hate his guts and they should just trade him. Because
it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, it feels like there is something against him personally, like
with all those options that 1 year. Yeah. All right. I already know who your pick is, but I'll set it up this way anyway. Which Texas speedster, Leody Taveras or Bubba Thompson?
I mean, it's Leody Taveras. I don't think it's
not even close.
Yeah, like Bubba Thompson was a really fun story last year, and it really burns me that I traded him earlier in the year in like that 30-team 100-man
You could use those
roster
SBs,
league. Yeah, because I could have used those SBs and that cheap contract that I had him on, but ultimately Bubba Thompson can't hit the ball, and that is going to be a massive issue for him. And while Taveras isn't necessarily great at hitting the ball, what he does do is get close to league average contact inside the zone, and he plays phenomenal defense.
Yeah.
And so like, why can't he be like diet version of Adolis Garcia? A guy who is going to play every day because his defense is so great and the rest of that outfield sucks. He's got speed. I do think there is some power in that bat, even though we really haven't seen it a ton.
He puts up homers, but yeah, it doesn't have huge like ISOs. Although it's AAA ISOs, 230 and 191. It is a PCL though too. I want to be clear on that. That's a friendly environment. He was only at a 105 last year in his 99 games, but still had 5 homers. So, you pace that out a bit. It's probably like 8 homers. I'm not doing backflips there, but if I get like 8 and 20 out of Leody Taveras, I think there's upside for more. But like you said, diet Aledmys Garcia. This is why I don't want to pay for Aledmys Garcia, though. I just want to find the next one. And it could be an Edward Olivares. It could be a Leody Taveras.
He absolutely could be the next Aledmys Garcia. Maybe I need to do that article too. No, he'll be on the next Cedric Mullins list.
Yeah, so. just put him on that one too. Yeah, I agree with you on everything about Bubba Thompson as well. Is Harold Ramirez worthwhile despite so few homers and steals, or is he just kind of like outfield Luis Ariz?
I think he makes sense in a draft champions because he will play. And he's still first base. I think he's first and outfield eligible, right? So
I can check that while you're chatting about Harold Ramirez.
But other than that, it's really not very inspiring. And I don't pull the trigger on guys like that in a fab league. I'm looking for a little bit more upside. So, but yeah, in a draft champions, he makes a lot of sense because he's going to play. And sometimes you just need a bat that's not going to hurt you.
Exactly. I totally agree with that. Draft champions, perfect spot for Harold Ramirez. And similarly, AL only would also be a good spot there.
Yeah.
Again, another one where I know the answer, but I'm setting you up. Is TJ Friedl another Cincinnati breakthrough candidate we've hyped up? Will Myers together. I've been on the Jake Fraley train. We kind of diverge here on our FR guys, though. You're a Friedl over Fraley. I'm Fraley over Friedl. So talk to us about TJ or Friedl, I believe is what it is. Talk to us about TJ Friedl and what he could possibly do, because he had 8 homers and 7 steals in 72 games last year with some good plate skills. So give us the 411 on him and whether or not we should be drafting him.
Yeah, 89.4% zone contact. He struck out 15.5% of the time. Swinging strike rate was just 8% in the majors. There's power, there's speed, and he's going to lead off. Does this not sound like the reincarnation of Cedric Mullins, or is it just me? Yeah, he's my dude this year. He will be on all my teams. He is already on all my teams so far. And I'm really looking forward to pumping up his value to the point where I do not get him in the main event this year.
I swear to God, if you do that again, I told you I don't.
There's literally no world in which he does not end up on every single one of my teams, outside of someone just jumping him up just to piss me off. Like if I'm in another draft with you,
that's an encouraging thought.
Like I have him ranked currently as outfielder number 47. If you add in Dalton Varsho, it's outfielder number 48. So
yeah, I got him 64 with a pretty decent projection, and you're skyrocket. You're moons ahead of me there with TJ Friedl.
He's going as outfielder number 93 in NFBC
so we're both
draft champions. Yeah, he's gonna be on a lot of my teams. This is my breakout pick. So I'm gonna have him everywhere.
It's a good guy. I am in. I can be in on all 3. I can go Myers, Fraley, Friedl. Friedl. I keep saying Friedl. I'm not averse to getting two of the 3 on multiple teams here. It's Cincinnati, man. I love it. I love that park. And obviously there's reasons to just be excited about Cincinnati players. And he has probably the best skills of the 3 too, with that a lack of swing and miss that TJ Friedl has. So I like that. Now running to the other end here, it's a lot more boring player, but are you buying a full-time Aledmys Díaz in Oakland? And if so, what kind of league types?
I think again, this is like another draft champions type guy only. Like, yeah, I do think he's gonna play pretty close to full time. I mean, he may be their most expensive contract this year,
So
or
gross.
pretty darn close. So
To be outfield, by the way. So similar to Ramírez, where you get that
Mhm.
infield outfield capability and you get second base instead of first base. So you even get a little bit more of a unique position for Aledmys Díaz. And if he plays a ton, it's just that volume that can be somewhat appealing just to get a bat in there.
In Yahoo, he's eligible everywhere. He's eligible outfield, second base, shortstop, third base. And I'm pretty sure you can put him in as the manager in Oakland as well there in Yahoo. So
player manager.
Yeah. So like he is eligible everywhere. That being said, like it's a pretty boring profile for the most part. Like it's not something I care a ton about. You know, it's not like he steals a ton of bases. We're talking double-digit home runs, like a 240 something batting average.
And he might get eaten up a bit in the park, so the power might go down. But maybe the average goes up. Maybe he finds more gap power, and Aledmys Díaz hits like 260 because he is a 266 career guy.
I think he can just volume his way to 10 home runs. Like,
yeah, I mean, that's right. I agree.
I mean, that's what
even
it comes
in that
down
part.
to.
Even if he hits most of them on the road, I agree.
Yeah. So, and you're talking like 40s and 50s RBIs runs kind of thing.
That's the part too. It's so bad.
I mean, really outside of AL only and draft champions. Yeah.
Yep. Aledmys Díaz is who we were talking about there, second base outfield. Kerry Carpenter is a name that a lot of people probably don't know. Out in Detroit, had a real breakthrough season. Now, he was 24 beating up Double-A, and that is worth noting, similar to what I was saying about somebody else I was talking about that was, Colas. You got to take that into context because that, you know, it's kind of like you should be doing it, a type thing. But he had 22 homers in 63 games. So even though he was above the age for that level, that was still standout. And he then went to AAA, spent 35 games there and hit another 8 homers, came up to the majors, hit another 6 in 31 games. We talked about him a little bit, I believe, in the last episode. Kerry Carpenter, do you think he has 25 homer potential in Detroit with the fence move now? Because it does favor lefties more, and he is a lefty.
I think he does. I didn't quite go that far. Like I think I gave him 448 plate appearances and 14 home runs. But I could definitely see it. I think it all really comes down to playing time. Will they let him play every day? I really don't know what the Tigers are doing necessarily.
Shut up.
I'm a little like confused. Like the whole Cesar Hernandez signing. I guess Cesar just plays third, and then Nick Mason can be a utility guy. So
or they both are, right? They're both bouncing around doing things.
Yeah,
probably.
So
I'm fine with it. It's a major leaguer. Like, you know, I agree with you. Like, I know we always kind of look sideways when a crummy team signs one of these type of dudes, but sometimes you just want a major leaguer to fill. You don't want the whole team to be minor leaguers, right?
Yeah. And I think the nice thing for Carpenter is because he's a lefty and they want to go righty, lefty, he's projected at 5th right now, which is a pretty decent spot to hit in the lineup. It's not the worst lineup in baseball. I did that lineup last night when I did the A's previews. So oh god, it was so bad.
I can't sit here and hype up my Tigers too much, but if you can sprinkle some health for Meadows with Baez, Green, Torque, Scope, Carpenter, you know, there's some things there. I'm not quitting my boy Akil Baddoo either. It's a hell of a lot better than Oakland, which is more an incrimination of Oakland than it is a propping up of Detroit. I will be clear on that.
Yeah,
we've talked about these guys a little bit. Let's dive in a little bit more on the Dodgers outfielders, Trayce Thompson and James Outman. What kind of playing time are you seeing for these two this year? I know that we currently have Trayce Thompson penciled in at center field. I don't see how Trayce Thompson can be the starting center fielder on the Dodgers right now. No shade to him, even though that is definitely a shady comment to make. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just trying to be honest about it. And I don't really buy his 142 WRC plus in 80 games last year. Sorry if I'm crazy for that. What do you think about Trayce Thompson, James Outman?
Right now, I have Thompson for 378 plate appearances and Outman
that seems fine.
425.
Okay.
I thoroughly expect the Dodgers to make some sort of move prior to the start of the season. I just can't imagine a world in which they enter with both these guys projected to get that many plate appearances. So like but the longer we go and the less options that are left out in free agency, and maybe they don't want to trade a bunch of prospects away for Brian Reynolds, like the more it looks like, hey, maybe they just decide with so many wild card teams now that it just doesn't matter. They're going to make the playoffs either way. And then we'll just go with it. Maybe we'll acquire someone at the deadline.
Yeah, pay the cheaper price at the well, not necessarily cheap, but usually cheaper at the deadline, especially if you're buying Reynolds a half season later. Specifically, it might be cheaper. But yeah, I'm with you, though, having Outman for more plate appearances than Thompson. Totally agree there. Are you drafting either of them?
I've drafted Outman a few times because he's really, really cheap. The price has gone up a little bit, but I am definitely intrigued by Outman in terms of his offensive potential. Thompson, for me, just there's so much swing and miss and like lack of contact ability. While there is power in that, and we did I saw some people being like, look at the gains he made. Look at the BABIP he had last year to make those gains, and it's insanity. Like there's no way I end up with Thompson in any teams, but Outman I think is a guy I will continue to target just a little bit in draft champions mostly.
Yeah, I think that makes some sense there. James Outman definitely.
Neither are top 100 outfielders in my ranks, by the way.
Same. Any Kike Hernandez bounce back potential? He's still a guy that he's going to play a ton. I think the market has kind of forgotten him a bit. I get it because he had a really dreadful season last year, but I keep coming back to him like and he doesn't have the eligibility anymore. He's just outfield, but he's the 95th outfielder, pick 426. Anything for Kike Hernandez got you going there? Betting probably number 2 or 1 against lefties in Boston.
I mean, is he going to bat that high with both Verdugo and Matsuzaka now? Like that's my big.
They're both lefties.
Yeah, I guess he could.
I don't think they're going to go left.
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
because then you got Devers 3. You're going to go left.
Yeah, and he did bat a few times, or he did bat like at the end of the season, like against lefties.
I think for sure against lefties he bats that high. He might not bat 2.
No, he's gonna bat
righties.
7, 8, or 9 against righties.
Well, you putting Duvall there, or are you putting Duvall at 4 and Justin Turner at 2? I'm going off of roster resource. We have Kike 2, Turner 4, Duvall 6, because we have a right-left situation set up for them.
That sounds right. That sounds right.
So then that's Kike at 2 against righties.
Yeah, could be.
So I mean, he was dreadful last year, but he's better than that, right? I mean, I think he is. He had a 5% homer to fly ball rate. It cut in half for him. He had 20 homers the year before in Boston, right?
He's definitely better than what he showed, but like I don't think we're getting like back to 20 home runs. Like I've got him for 16 home runs, a 239 batting average, like 50s in terms of runs, RBIs. So it's just he's like, I think I have him as like my number 93rd outfielder. If he was getting second base eligibility back, like instead of shortstop, I would like him a lot more. But
I would like something on the infield, even shortstop. I'd take. I want something on the infield.
Well, he should get shortstop, but who cares at shortstop? Like that's
true. It's really deep. We can put him at MI at least then.
Yeah, but
that's better than nothing. Better than nothing. I think he could be interesting. Kike Hernandez. I'm gonna keep an eye on him. I'll probably get a little something there.
For me, it's just draft champions kind of.
Yeah, for sure right now.
Yeah.
Tommy Pham or AJ Pollock doing anything for you? They are in New York and the Mets. I almost said New York and Chicago, which would not narrow it down. They're with the Mets and White Sox, respectively. Pham with the Mets, Pollock with the White Sox. Sorry.
I mean, I like them both. Like
no, Pollock's in Seattle. I'm sorry. He was with the White Sox last year. Sorry, I glitched again. I double glitched. Sorry. So reset. Tommy Pham's with the Mets. AJ Pollock is with the Mariners. Either of them doing anything for you this year?
I mean, I like them both individually, but I just don't know where the playing time comes from for both. And
because they're both righties who crush lefties.
Yeah, and so like I have Pollock for 500 plate appearances, but that feels really, really aggressive.
Tough park switch too.
Yeah. But that makes him like a top 80 outfielder. So, I mean, theoretically, I'm kind of in on Pollock.
Yeah.
Pham, not so much. Like, as much as I actually prefer Pham as a player, but I just don't see the path to consistent playing time unless someone gets hurt. I think he is Starling Marte insurance at this point.
Yeah. And then they probably need Pham insurance too. Because, he's not always healthy. He played 144 last year, though. So, credit there. 155 the year before that. So, like, he does miss some time, but it's not like 84 game type seasons. He will be 35 though. You're just afraid not to rank him too low because you don't want to get slapped. Don't lie.
Yeah,
I had to make slap joke. Obviously, come on, it's built into our contract. Alek Thomas, PT Alek. I know we've talked about this a lot, but where are you currently right now?
if I shook the Magic 8 Ball, I'd say outlook not so good.
Of course.
And he needs a trade. Hey, maybe they could trade him to the Dodgers. Like, that would be a nice little landing spot for him. They're not going to do that in division.
Maybe McCarthy goes to the Dodgers.
I don't think they would do that in division.
I don't know. I don't think so either, but I don't know. They wouldn't trade Alek Thomas. Alek Thomas is a much bigger prospect than McCarthy.
And what are the Dodgers going to trade back? The Dodgers going to trade back one of their many rotation piees? Like, I don't think so.
Well, do they have any young pitching? Because that could actually be a worthy trade.
Maybe.
Bobby Miller's too high, so it'd have to be somebody a little bit lower than that. I don't.
But I don't think.
And something else. I don't know.
No, I think it'd have to be more than that.
It's not enough. I agree. Yeah, there's nothing.
I think it has to be close to Bobby Miller, to be honest. Like, I think.
Oh yeah, maybe. Well, for Thomas, maybe not for McCarthy.
Yeah, for Thomas.
Are you taking Thomas anywhere right now? Because we're in draft champions. I'm not even taking him there because he's not the prospect I want to take my shot on, right? And we talk about how we only want like one or two prospects that, not Jordan Walker now is looking like he's going to make the team. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the guys who are pretty much inked into AAA to start the year. I don't want too many of those guys on my team. I might even want this next guy more than Alek Thomas, Sal Frelick. He was great in 22 in the minors. What does he look like in 23 with Milwaukee? They just got Brian Anderson that kind of crowds things up a little bit more. They have Garrett Mitchell, who we talked about on the last episode. They got our boy Joey Weimer from last fall league. That was really intriguing. They got some players. Sal Frelick find some spot this year to pop off?
I think he does at some point. The question is when, and he's not on the 40-man roster. And they keep adding all these guys. Like, that are just bodies.
It's smart though, right? Like, because they want to make sure that they're not relying too heavily on these young guys. I get it, but it frustrates us as fantasy folks because we're like, what do you need Anderson and Brasso for? They are the same guy. They're literally the same guy. Yeah. Are you not done with Keston Hiura yet? We start getting angry at the veterans that they have around, but I get why you do that. But Tyrone Taylor, I'm not super on that train as like he's immovable. So that could open a spot then. We've already got Garrett Mitchell penciled in with Jesse Winker at DH.
I love Garrett Mitchell.
We got Mitchell at center, excuse me. So Sal Frelick might have an opportunity. Like I said, he had a great triple level season last year. I've got some intrigue on him. And like I said, between the two, Alek Thomas and Sal Frelick, I prefer Frelick this year as like a draft champions gamble.
Yeah, I mean, I like Frelick. I think he's an interesting gamble. I think I want a guy with a little bit higher upside. Like, Frelick doesn't project to have like a really impressive like power tool. He's not a very good defender.
I like the plate skills though. I'm thinking those plate skills with the speed.
And I think that's where you go for the upside, right? Like, because he does have really good plate skills and he does have speed. He's got 60 grade speed. So like, could he in a full season be like a 10-25 guy? I think he probably could.
That could be pretty nice.
The question is, will he get that opportunity in Milwaukee, who is, traditionally very kind of stingy in terms of bringing prospects up?
Yeah. So keep an eye on Sal Frelick, but don't go overboard with it right now. Might be an in-season pickup that we're rushing to the wire for.
Yeah.
And having to pay a little bit of a premium, but might be worth it at that point. I briefly mentioned Adam Duvall. Let's focus on him a little bit more. He's in Boston with some free and clear playing time. We're a year removed from 38 homers. I know his triple slash is always dreadful. He's a career 230, 289, 465. Last year it was 213 and 276 on that average in OBP, which is part of why he had a down season playing just 86 games and hitting 12 homers. But with some playing time in Boston, any love there for Adam Duvall? He's a player I've always liked as a dude. But then the fantasy is tough if he's not popping all those homers because he's usually banging your average or obliterating your OBP if it's an OBP league.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you could draft him in an OBP league.
No.
So, but in an average league, I think he's going to hit 20 home runs. Like, I think he's going to play
at least. I think if he plays $140.
Yeah, and I think there's a legitimate chance like that he hits 30. So like if you're looking for late power, could he not be like Hunter Renfroe-esque?
There you go.
He could.
And cheaper.
So, yeah, much cheaper.
Adam Duvall in Boston. Take a look. Any Chas McCormick upside, or is he is what he is with the last two seasons that we've seen with Chas McCormick? Where do you stand on him?
I think he is what he is at this point. Like, I don't really see I mean, it was a fun story, especially with, the picture. But
for those that don't know, he had a picture. His picture when he first started on NFBC had to have been like his picture at college or something for a yearbook or
Yeah,
even a high school yearbook. He looked like an accountant.
Yeah, he was wearing actually he looked like a Mormon missionary. Like he was wearing
Absolutely
the black
even better.
tie, white
Yeah.
shirt, the like black horn rimmed glasses. Like that's what
We
he
have
looked
time
like.
to talk about our
Did he
Lord and
go?
Savior Jordan Alvarez.
Did he go to BYU? Maybe like I don't know.
don't
Maybe
know.
that's what it is. But
I'll
it
take
was
a
a really funny gag. I think he's going to play a fair amount. I've got 450 plate appearances, and that's 15 home runs and 6 stolen bases for me. Like I think that's fine. Like where he's going, like I don't think that's a bad pick by any stretch of the imagination. In as far as Houston is concerned, like they're not a team that tends to like go out and get like big pickups. So like I don't see him being replaced. I think he's gonna play and be kind of fine.
He went to Millersville University.
That sounds like a really just Quaker maybe?
Amish? Yeah. I don't know. Anyway,
what was it called? Millersville?
Millersville. Multiple major leaguers from there, by the way. Tim Miza, guy who's currently playing, Jim Todd and Jim Weaver from back in the day.
It's a public university. All right.
Okay. So yeah, we don't know. We're casting aspersions here, but the picture was amazing.
It sounds like a baseball school. It's got a 96% acceptance rate and a 59% graduation rate.
Sounds like you're hanging out to park, spend some time there, and then you move on either to a bigger school, or if you're a ball player, you get drafted and you peace out. But hey, Chas McCormick made it from there. He's a solid player. I tried to look for upside for him too when I wrote him up in the profile in the baseball HQ forecaster, and I couldn't quite get there. He does have 23 homers and 7 steals per 600 plate appearances. So if he found a full season role, that could be like a $20 guy. But I just don't know that they're going to commit to him for 600 plate appearances. So as much as I want to be excited about Chas McCormick, I can't really. He's priced to buy, though. So if you do like him and you do share some of that somewhat moderate intrigue, then go ahead and get him. He's not going to hurt you, but he's probably not going to really break out or anything.
Hey, shout out to Chas McCormick being on their notable alumni list.
Oh, that's awesome.
And they are the Fighting Marauders.
Oh, sweet. That's actually pretty tough.
Yeah, black and gold, too. Pretty cool.
It's gonna be a tough marauder out here getting us 20 homers out of nowhere. Okay. Buyback on Jesus Sanchez. I know you already said yes to that last episode. You can expound on that. Akil Baddoo and Josh Lowe.
No.
Okay, so yes, no.
If this was like a marry, fuck, kill, I guess I would go marry Jesus Sanchez. I will fuck Akil Baddoo. And I will kill Josh Lowe.
Clip that too. Going to prison.
So, which is a game we used to play on the Friends of Fantasy Benefits podcast. I keep thinking about bringing it back. So
you have your first one.
Yeah. I think Jesus Sanchez made some real changes. The problem is going to be playing time, especially if Jazz Chisholm is going out to the outfield.
He is. Don't say it if. He is. It's happening.
Well, I mean, good news for Jesus Sanchez is that Jazz Chisholm is on the cover of MLB The Show, which means
you can't beat me to. You don't even play video games. You can't be scooping me. That's not fair. I was literally just about to say it. That's why I put my hand up. If you're watching on YouTube, I literally was going to do that because I was about to say it, but I didn't want to interrupt you because I interrupt you a lot. So I was like, let him finish, and you scooped me, man.
So So I
can't bench the cover boy.
Yeah, no. I think there's going to be I think he's gonna be hard pressed for playing time at least early. He may not even make the team, but
you expressed some reservations on Brian De La Cruz, though, right?
No, I like Brian De La Cruz.
We were positive on him.
Yeah,
I honestly couldn't remember our conversation.
Yeah, I like Brian De La Cruz, and I think that leaves. And I like Abisail as a bounce back, so I think that kind of leaves. Jesus Sanchez is the odd man out right now. Maybe he gets traded. Maybe he just goes down AAA and waits for an opportunity. So I think he's a draft champions buy right now, unless something happens in the meantime. If they do decide, hey, no, Jazz is going to play short or Jazz is going to play second base, we're not going to mess around with this. Or if someone gets hurt, something like that.
That's the thing. I don't think they're going to trade Sanchez because you want to have some depth.
Yeah.
And it's nice to have a little outfielder depth there, and that you definitely do get that there, having Avi, Jazz, De La Cruz, Sanchez. That's 4 guys right there. You need more than 4 usually in a year anyway, so having 4 right there, I think he could even make the roster. And then Blade, who we've talked about, and I still wish cast for him, but I don't have a whole lot of true intrigue for him. It's more just dreaming. but he got the next man up too. So they got some outfield depth there. Jesus Sanchez is a good draft champions pick, and then see what happens in the in spring training. My boy Akil, obviously, hyped him to the hilt last year. Was super excited. I didn't get the memo that my favorite team hated his guts for some reason. I did not know that, and I've already taken my fat L on that. We call him Aki Badu because I took the L. So I'm obviously back in. I'm not going to completely quit him because he's priced to buy now, right? Like it's easy to stay bought in here because his price completely cratered. But what are we thinking that he can do? Is there still some real, double upside there for Akil Badu? He's 545 ADP, so he is a draft champions only type guy right now. Where does he stand this year for you with the Tigers?
I like him to have an opportunity at least early on. The problem is we saw it last year is they're going to give him a quick hook. If he struggles early on, like they'll just go to somebody else, which is really, really disappointing because I do think he's got like probably 15-20 upside if he was given a full opportunity. I projected him for 458 plate appearances, 10 home runs, 17 stolen bases.
I put him for 712 plate appearances and 30-30.
No,
I kept it. Yeah, I kept it cool.
Conservative. Yeah.
And I have to. It's projections. You don't want to go too crazy.
No, that's a median projection.
Right? Yeah, I didn't want to go 40-40 on him, even though that's probably what Akil Badu is going to do. So I kept it at 30-30. Like I said, keep it chill, be realistic about it, and that way you're not leading anybody astray with your projection. Oh man, I do love him though. And listen, the 15-20 that you said, that's kind of what I was looking for last year. I thought he made in-season improvements. I thought everything was there. I was so stone cold on him, man. And I'm stone cold wrong is what I was, but I was really, really set that this guy was going to be something. And even if he didn't improve the WRC plus, which was 110 in that rookie year, I was like, well, he'll accumulate a 15-20, 15-25 even. I thought maybe he could steal a bunch, but nope. It was a complete flop of a season. He's 24 years old, though. So I'm not just going to quit him off of 1 year, even though the Tigers did show that they're not big fans of Akil Badu. Let's talk Josh Lowe. You said no on him. You're murdering him, in fact.
Yeah.
You just out on the swing and miss? Is it just too much?
There's just too much swing and miss. And,
and yet you remain bought in on Jared Kelenic. Curious.
Because the swing and miss has always been a part of Josh Lowe's game.
That's a fair counter. That's at least a slightly fair counter, but like, I still want to.
I know we're not talking about Kelenic right now.
I know, but I brought him up, so I'll let you talk about him.
I think it's all in his head. Like I do
think there's some of that. I do think there's some of that, man.
Because he went down to AAA and just crushed. Like, I think it is legitimately something in his head. I think he just,
he put some pressure on himself.
And some guys never get over that. Like, it's something we just can't account for, and that's why, like, sometimes mega prospects like Brandon Wood just fails. We just can't account for, their ability to like hold it all together mentally. But like Josh Lowe has been a strikeout machine at every level. There's a ton of power. There's a ton of speed. The problem is his defense isn't good enough to like even just give him an opportunity in the same way like Jose Siri's getting an opportunity this year, because his defense is so good that Tampa's like, well, screw it, we'll put him in the 9 hole and hope things work out. But at least he'll help out our pitchers. Like, we can't say that about Josh Lowe, and that's one of the real big issues with him is the swing and miss, and like he just can't play defense well enough to hold down a spot.
Those are all good points. I don't disagree with you on any of that, and I'm also with you on Sanchez and Badu. Will Brennan or Will Benson in Cleveland? I'm sure people mix them up. The Will B's over there, they are pretty similar, and they're both left-handers, so they're both kind of fighting for PT. What's the scoop? Who do you like better, if either? Well, you have to pick one that you like better, but then tell us why you like them. How about that?
I think it's Will Brennan, and I don't think it's particularly close because Brennan has shown like really good plate skills, which Will Benson is.
Let me alter before you go too far. I said they're similar. Their plate skills are night and day. They're wildly different. The similarities are that they're left-handed outfielders for the Cleveland Guardians, and then they start to veer apart from each other. So I'm sorry about that. Go ahead. But yeah, I wanted to be clear that they're actually not that similar. I shouldn't have said that. Yeah.
Because I mean, Will Brennan had a 9% strikeout rate last year, and Will Benson had 90%, 31%.
Yeah, and only a 5% walk rate for Benson as well. So he's up there hacking. He's got great power, but if you don't make contact, you don't get to show that power.
And reportedly, Will Benson is one of the hardest workers in the minors.
Benson or Brennan?
Benson.
Okay.
Like Benson is like,
what we're scared of is a hard worker.
He's a hard worker. He's he's apparently really, really smart. And that's why he keeps getting opportunities in spite of the bad strikeout rate. I think Will Brennan is like almost complete opposite in not saying he's not a hard worker, but there is no real upside in Will Brennan.
Yeah.
He's like kind of
faster Harold Ramirez in terms of that like batting average, but uninspired power and like maybe double-digit steals, which Harold Ramirez doesn't necessarily. I don't know. That was the first comp I came up with because we talked about him earlier.
A poor man's Benintendi, like
that's a better comp. That's a better comp.
Yeah, I mean, a guy who's like he's never going to light up the stat sheet, and so he needs 500 plate appearances in order to make a real difference in fantasy.
That's a perfect way to put Will Brennan. With Will Benson, I will say we brought up the strikeout rate at the major league level, which was egregious, and it's been egregious in the minors. But at AAA last year, to your point about his work, 23% K rate, and he cut the swinging strike rate down to 9%, which was far and away a career best at any stop. His previous best before that in the minors was 14%. So that's a 5-point drop. Down to 9% swinging strikes. So maybe he can bring some of that hard work to the majors. And if he does connect, there is a lot of pop there. But neither has a set role right now. What are you looking at for the PT with these two, Will Brennan and Will Benson?
Oh, I think Brennan's going to get an opportunity to at least be on the roster.
Okay.
I think Benson probably goes back down to the minors.
I think that's fair.
So, and then he needs someone to get hurt to get an opportunity, even though that's not a very good outfield.
Yeah, that's true. But they like the defense of Straw and Kwan there. So even though they're going to hit a combined 4 homers, they're probably going to play him. And we'll see what happens with our boy Oscar Gonzalez. We did express some concerns about him, and he can maybe clear a path for Brennan or Benson too. So stay tuned there. How is Victor Robles only 26?
So I mean, you're a little bit older than me, so you might kind of remember this movie and then a later, much worse TV show called The Highlander.
Yes.
I
do.
Victor Robles is a Highlander.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I think that's the right answer. Do we just move on from there? Do you want to expound at all on that?
I kind of don't. I mean,
really
Victor Robles is who he is. Like, he did actually make some improvements, but like he's so far away in terms of making good contact.
Yeah.
That like, will he still be on some draft champions teams of mine? Absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Power and speed. I'm a sucker. I can't help it.
Yeah. Like, he's still going to bat 9th on a really bad team and swing and miss a bunch. So,
yeah, I think that's all fair on Victor Robles. All right. Now back to KC. We talked about Edward Olivares. Drew Waters, Nate Eaton, and Kyle Isbell are all hanging out there as well. I guess I'll go MFK on them as well since we played it with the other 3 there. How do you feel about those 3 KC guys? I know who your fave is. It might be that that third one I said, but Drew Waters, Nate Eaton, Kyle Isbell. What do you think of these 3 this year and what they could possibly do?
All right, so I'm going to marry Kyle Isbell. I'm going to fuck Drew Waters, and I'm going to kill Nate Eaton, I guess.
Okay.
I mean, Kyle Isbell is very similar to the same kind of profile as Will Brennan, where he doesn't necessarily have a carrying tool in fantasy, but he's gonna accumulate, and I think he's gonna play a lot. Like they traded everybody away
too.
Yeah, and he's a very good defensive player.
So I think he comps even better to your Benintendi thing, where he's not even necessarily diet Benintendi. He could, well, he strikes out more than him, so he still is a little bit Benintendi Jr., but he could really be a double guy if he got the PT, because his defense is sharp, and you need good defense in Kauffman Stadium. So I like Isbell as well.
And I mean, some of that strikeout rate, I think, is a little fraudulent. I mean, he had just a 9% swing strike rate last year,
which I like.
So like, I think he can bring that strikeout rate down. So we're talking like, potentially like, I don't know, like a 12-16 kind of projection. I don't know exactly what I have for him, but I have him as a top 60 outfielder because I do think he's going to play quite a lot and just accumulate. So. I have him 67. So I have 11 home runs, 11 home runs, 13 or 15 stolen bases, 242 batting average.
Isbell is the 148th outfielder going off the board, so you must be getting him everywhere.
Yeah, I am. Mm-hmm.
And I will let you say free. Pick 687. You can say free. Yeah. Nate Eaton is 681, right by him. Let's get to him before we get to Drew Waters. I know you like Waters a little bit more. Eaton also has some infield eligibility. or no, he's played some infield. He's not eligible there, but he's played some infield. I wonder if that helps him find maybe some PT. He played a little bit of third last year, 15 games there. So in leagues that count lower thresholds, he will be 3B OF, but for NFBC, he's just OF right now. I know you said kill on him, so he's your lower one. He did have 11 steals in 44 games. Is he doing anything for you, even though he's your third of the picks?
So if Isbell is a diet version of Andrew Benintendi, then Nate Eaton would be a diet version of Kyle Isbell.
Okay. I can see that. Yeah.
So like, like if you ever had Coke Zero,
you go from Diet Coke to Coke Zero. Well, where does that put Drew Waters? Is he clear Pepsi? Crystal Pepsi?
Drew Waters is just like the reincarnation of bad Carlos Gomez.
Yeah. Strikes out like crazy, but has power and speed.
Power and speed is going to strike out like crazy. So if Carlos Gomez is a Highlander, then maybe it actually is just Drew Waters. Just he's just changed his name and identity.
You guys getting a flow chart to follow this? We're giving you some real good information here.
This feels like just a gold episode right here.
And this is where we're turning this one in for FSW.
The Highlander episode, yeah.
I like these team ones, so I did another one here. Jack Sawinski or Ji-Hwan Bae in Pittsburgh. Now they're completely different. You're gonna get power out of Jack Sawinski or Ji-Hwan Bae in with speed. Now, so don't just say team dependent, because by the time you're picking, you could take anything, right? Like they're so late that you're just picking whatever. So who do you like better between Sawinski and Bae?
Give me Bae. Give me the guy who's got really good contact skills, speed, and multi-positional eligible, so second base and outfield. The problem is I just don't know what the playing time situation is going to be for him. I think he could end up supplanting Rodolfo Castro at second base and playing every day.
How dare you?
Because Rodolfo Castro's got the same issue as Jack Sawinski, which is swing and miss, like just a ton of swing and miss.
I can't disagree with that.
I like Jack Sawinski as for what he is, like a poor man's Adam Duvall. Or maybe he is Adam Duvall. Maybe have we ever seen them take pictures together?
We have not. Lefty Duvall, so he bats lefty in Pittsburgh, then he goes over to Boston and hits righty. You're on to something.
So like
there.
For those of you who are again Paul's age, like you remember like daytime soap operas where they would kill off a character and then about a month later they bring back his evil twin. Jack Sawinski is Adam Duvall's evil twin.
Okay, perfect. I'm loving these comps here. These are wonderful. Kyle Stowers, power potential in Baltimore. He's a left-hander, so he doesn't get murdered by the park the way every right-hander does. Does he have any intrigue for you there in Baltimore? Kyle Stowers. I don't know.
I think Stowers.
I think Stowers is correct.
I maybe a little bit. I think the question becomes like, where does the playing time come from? Like, will he supplant Austin Hayes or something? Because
no, we got him penciled in as a strong side DH right now.
Oh, okay, that makes a little bit of sense. I think he's a little bit better defender than maybe a DH, but. I could definitely see him.
Yeah, maybe he should play right and Santander DH. But either way, that would still give him playing time.
Yeah, so I think that would be kind of he's an interesting draft champions gamble, because if he does get the playing time. I mean, it's not like Austin Hayes has been injured a bunch. Santander has been injured throughout his career. So like he could easily find himself in a position where he's playing every day, or pretty close to every day. And so, I mean, I think Stowers is a kind of a sneaky draft champions guy.
I think so too. He's pretty interesting. I do think he can absolutely rake. And I would say that, I would not put this as my projection, but I think the upside is 30 homers. If he did find an everyday role, I think Stowers could pop 30 this year. Might be with like a 235, 240 average.
And that becomes the issue, because he didn't show necessarily like atrocious swing and miss at the majors, but it was still 30%.
Yeah.
So he's just super, super aggressive. We're talking about an 18% swinging strike rate at the majors last year, which is backed up through like pretty much what he did throughout the minor leagues. So he's super aggressive, and he goes, I'm going to strike out 30% of the time, but when I do make contact, it's going to go a long ways.
Going to the warehouse.
Yeah.
Do you care about Nolan Jones in Colorado?
I do not, because I don't think he has a role on this team until after they trade guys.
About 5 more years for him in Colorado. Anyone else you want mentioned?
That is a good question. Let me just kind of scroll around and see real quick, but I don't think, Trevor Larnach, if he's healthy, like
he could be a Stowers too, right?
Yeah,
like a all or nothing power guy.
Well, I think he's got a little bit more hit tool than that, but
that's fair.
And maybe not quite the power, but I think he could be really interesting if he could find a role on the team and he's healthy. I think those are two big ifs. Obviously, Joe Adell is buried at this point,
With
but
good reason.
Yeah, like I'm never gonna give up on those tools necessarily. Eddie Rosario is a guy that,
what's up with him?
I think maybe now, like removed from the eye surgeries and the other injury issues that he's had, like maybe he could actually get a chance, especially if Marcell Ozuna continues to just be Marcell Ozuna.
Mm-hmm.
Other guys, no, we don't care about Christian Pache. Dude can't hit.
No, just he just cannot hit.
Yeah.
Miguel Andujar in Pittsburgh do anything for you?
He got DFA'd.
Oh, never mind then. I mean, they do have better guys. So, what about Cal Mitchell in Pittsburgh? They're starting to pile up guys. Not everyone's gonna be able to play, but Cal Mitchell.
Yeah, he's probably in the short side of platoon.
Yeah, probably right.
So I think Juan Yepes. I don't know where Yepes is gonna play, and he's probably gonna DH more often than play the outfield, but he is still outfield eligible. If he can find 500 plate appearances, I think he can hit 25 plus home runs.
I agree.
The question is, will he find those plate appearances?
And that's what I don't know, especially with the Jordan Walker news that he's going to have a really, really, really strong chance to break camp. But then all of a sudden, he could be taking some of the DH spot, Walker himself, or you're giving O'Neill days off via the DH. You start rotating him out, and then Yepes loses out.
Yeah, but I mean, I have Yepes for 350 something plate appearances and 18 home runs. So we're talking about a guy like that he easily hit 25 in like 500 plate appearances.
Wonder if I got him for 20 and 370 plate appearances. So I'm with you there that he's got that punch. So that's a good name to bring up. We'll end it there. Outfield 3 or episode 3 of Outfielders there kind of covered. If there's anybody else you really want us to talk about, hit us in the comments or on Twitter. We'll give you our quick hitters on other guys there. I skipped some guys like Andrew McCutcheon. I think he kind of is what he is, some of those veteran types. So we didn't get to every single guy, but if you want us to get to anybody individually that you've got a decision on, hit us up. Justin, I think we're doing catchers next.
Catcher?
Yeah. Catchers on Friday. We'll do all of that at one episode, of course. So get ready to talk catchers. We'll highlight some one catcher strategies, some two catcher strategies. But until then, have a good one and stay warm because I'm going to be trying to stay warm myself.
Take it easy.